Moza. Oh. Shalom. Shalom, Israel. Yehovah Hashem Yoshai Brakatah to the brothers. Yehovah Shemal Adam Hashem Yoshai to the sisters. We are the ISUPK. Started our 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the command of General Yohanan. We are affiliated with no other Israelite group. And we teach that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, God's chosen people. That is in the Holy Bible, the King James Version 1611. These are our internal and external records. This is what we believe in. This is what we study. We are ordained in the ISUPK under the command of General Yohanan to teach this to our people, the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians of this world, who fall into the bloodline, the category and the bloodline of the Hebrew Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, we'll just go through what we've got going on in the school from Monday to through to the Sabbath, and then we'll go straight into tonight's class. So tonight, Monday night, we have the law class. Tuesday night, we have the brotherhood class. Wednesday night, we have the history class. Thursday night, we have the scripture breakdown class. Friday night, we have the Lashawan Kodash class. And all the classes are run from 7 till 9, streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Friday night at 9 o'clock, we have On the Ends live radio show. All the classes in the school are streamed live from 7 till 9. The classes that are live in the school for those of you that want to attend live classes, feel free to come down, raise your hands in class, and we'll get straight to your questions. If not, if you're in the stream, then type in your questions and we'll get to you ASAP, as quick as we can. Okay, so the classes that are live in the school are Monday night law class, 7 till 9, Wednesday night history class, 7 till 9, and the Thursday night scripture breakdown class. Okay, this Thursday night scripture breakdown class is mandatory for all students, for all troopers, officers in the school. Okay, that's what we've got going on in the school right up to the Sabbath. Saturday morning we have the Sabbath service 10 to 11, and then from 12 to 5 we hit the concrete for street camp. That is every Saturday. One Saturday we're in Birmingham City Centre, and the next Saturday we'll be in London Central Piccadilly. So we alternate street camp on a Saturday after the Sabbath service from the school. That's every Saturday we keep street camp. We haven't had it for a while for security reasons, but we will be kickstarting it again soon, no doubt. Okay, so we've saluted our nation. We've gave you the classes and what we've got going on in the school. So we'll go straight into tonight's class. The topic of tonight's class is how we became Gentiles. How we became Gentiles. Mozart, if you want to get me, if you want to, young man, if you can get me Ezekiel 11 and 17, Mozart, you get me 1 John 5 and 3, and just hold it, okay? How we became Gentiles. Can anybody in class, does anybody know how we became Gentiles as a nation? If we was a chosen people by the Most High God, the Most High God created 18 separate nations in the book of Genesis, okay? He had a chosen people that were likened to him. If he had a chosen people that was put above all nations on the face of the earth, then it's fair to say that we ruled and reigned supreme in this kingdom once upon a time. We can look throughout our records and history to see that the 12 tribes of Israel were the leading nation of this kingdom. Not today, but times that passed, aforetime. In the era of King David, King Solomon, which are perfect examples. We ruled this kingdom. We went to many battles, many wars, and we lost none of them. But in more recent times and times aforetime, we have lost battles and we have lost wars. Why do you think we lost these battles and wars, and how did we become Gentiles? Mozart, you got something?
We become Gentiles when we step away from the laws of the Most High, start to break and taking off to the original Gentiles we have living.
I'll take that.
Doing the abominable things that they are doing, we start to practice it with them.
I'll take that. Anybody else want to have a go?
Likewise, the priestly tribe, which is the Levites, they are the one with strong persuasion that transfer us over slowly underneath when they were supposed to help us to keep the laws of the commandments, they slowly transition over to those sacrifice and kind of hide that and worshiping, and then we just become smoother.
So what? Just repeat that into the mic for me more.
Likewise, the Levites, which are the priestly tribe, they were the ones starting this sacrifice and doing animal sacrifice, not to the Most High, but to Baal, and slowly transition us over to it. Okay,
and when you check out the book of Exodus, and that's a good point, because when you check out the book of Exodus, we hadn't had this law 5 minutes when Moses came down Mount Sinai and gave us this law, blessed us with the law of the Most High God, and we hadn't had this law for 5 minutes when we was building a golden calf and embracing and indulging in idolatry. So how we became Gentiles? Do you want to have did you want to have a go at it, young man?
You did say something about when Moses was on Mount Sinai and we were worshiping the idol, the golden calf. That was then. But I was going to say a bit before done. It's a word called Hellenism, Hellenistic. That's when we adopted Greek customs.
Hellenistic. We'll hold that, and we'll get into that in the class here. So how we became Gentiles. Okay, when you read when you read our records, the Holy Bible, the King James Version 1611, you will see that there's two types of Gentiles in the scriptures. Okay, there's a Gentile that comes from the heathen nations, and there's a Gentile people that come from our nation, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, in that Christian church, they don't define, there's no difference, there's no border, there's no line. They teach that a Gentile is a Gentile and they're all foreigners to Israel. But we know from our records this is not true, don't we, Mozart? We know that a portion of these Gentiles that the scriptures talk about are Hebrew Israelites. We know that a portion of these strangers the Bible talks about are Hebrew Israelites. They're not all strangers or Gentiles from other nations. And we're going to have a look today through the law, because this is a law class. We're going to have a look today through the law, how we became these Gentiles. In so to speak, we distanced ourselves from the Most High God. And this is one of the reasons how we became Gentiles, the main fundamental reason. Okay, so have you got a Zandervan compact dictionary? If you don't, I've got one here. It's okay. Okay, so we became Gentiles in a nutshell because we stopped loving the Most High God. And unlike in that Christian church, the Christians will teach, oh, a hug and a squeeze is a love. writing a letter to somebody is love. According to our records, that is not the definition of love. We became Gentiles because we stopped loving the Most High God and we started loving this world, this wicked kingdom that has become. Okay, we're going to get a definition of Gentiles, but can anybody tell me what the true definition of love is? How we became Gentiles, how we stopped loving God. According to the Most High God, according to our records, what is the true definition of love? Because this world has got no idea what the true definition of love is. This world, like we just said, especially our people that are stuck up in that Christian church, believe that love is marriage, is writing a love letter to your girlfriend, giving your brother a hug and a squeeze to make him feel better, making your neighbor a cup of tea. According to our records, this is not love. We have a true definition of love in the Bible. Can anybody tell me what that is? Officer Mozart.
Keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments.
Keeping the Most High God's laws, statutes, and commandments. And when you stop keeping them laws, statutes, and commandments, what do? What happens?
We become Gentiles.
We become Gentiles, but what happens before we become Gentiles? How do we become Gentiles? When we stop loving the Most High God, when we stop keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, we either turn away from God or move away from God. And where do we move into? Idolatry, abominations, things that are not traditional and match up with our cultures. Can anybody give me any examples of what I'm talking about?
I was gonna say,
Can anybody give me any examples of what I'm talking about? I've gave you two. Idolatry and abomination. What abominations? What's an abomination according to the Bible?
Abomination is breaking the laws.
An abomination would be breaking the ceremonial laws. Abominations would be breaking the dietary laws. Abominations would be breaking the civil laws. Okay, and abominations would be breaking the moral laws. We've only got 4 types of laws. We've got 613 laws, but they break down into 4 categories, 4 sections: moral, civil, ceremonial, and dietary. Okay, so let's get a definition of Gentiles so we know what we're looking at. Because remember, in that Christian church, we was taught that Gentiles only come from heathen nations. Let's see what Gentiles are according to the Bible. Gentiles, nation, people. Usually it means a non-Israelite people. Now, what's the definitive term in this sentence here, in this definition? Usually. What does usually mean?
You used to do something when you stop.
Most of the time. Usually, most of the time. So, most of the time, the Gentiles in this Bible are heathens. But a portion of the time, they're Hebrew Israelites. So that blows the Christianity theology out of the water. That all the Gentiles in the Bible, in our records, are from heathen nations. That's strike one for Christianity. Okay, let's have a precept. What is the definition of love? Let's find out. 1 John 5:3, Baba Kashar. And young man, hold Ezekiel for me. Baba Kashar.
The book of 1 John 5 verse 3. For this is love.
For what?
This is the love.
No, start again, Mozart. Listen.
1 John 5 verse 3.
Read.
For this is the love.
For what?
For this is the love
Read
of
on.
God. that we keep his commandments.
That we do what?
That we keep his commandments.
Okay, so the love of the Most High God is to keep his commandments. So clearly here in 1 John 5:3, love is not a hug and a squeeze. It's not lending your best friend his car, and it's not buying your mom a Christmas present or your children for that matter. You got something, young man?
Yes, so the way the world says love is like love your wife and love your husband. So
Correct.
it's not even loving your wife and loving your husband. It's
Lahar.
keeping a commandment.
Lahar, listen to the precept. Read that again after Samosa.
Okay.
Barbara Shah.
1 John 5:3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments.
And this is how we moved away from the Most High God. This is how we became Gentiles. This is how we stopped loving the Most High God. We stopped keeping his commandments. And how many commandments is there, young man?
613.
613 laws, statutes, and commandments in Moses' records in the first 5 books. Now, these laws are mentioned throughout the 80 scrolls, throughout the 80 books of the King James Version, okay, including the Apocrypha. But if you want to learn these laws, you will start at Genesis and go through to Deuteronomy, the first 5 books. This is the law book, the law of the Most High God given to us through the prophet Moses. Okay, Ezekiel 11:17. When you're ready, young man, read that from the Bible, Kishon.
Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 17. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered.
Read that again, Baba Kishon, from the top.
Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 17.
Just hold it one sec. Let me make sure. Yeah, verse 17 will do. Yeah, read that, Baba Kishon.
Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people.
Okay, so here the Lord God is going to gather us from the people. Which people is he going to gather us from? Young man.
Original Gentiles.
The other nations.
The other nations, the heathen. Okay, so he'll gather us from the heathen. Why? Read.
And assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered.
Okay, so just like today, this is a prophecy from Ezekiel. Okay, this is a foretime. Okay, and this is a prophecy talking about today. Okay, he will gather us out of where? Where are our people today? Where are the Hebrew Israelites, Moses, today? Young man, do you want to go at it?
Yes, thank you. Scattered among the 4 corners of the earth, all over the earth.
4 corners of the earth. You'll find our people in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in the Caribbean, in the States. We are everywhere. And that's what Ezekiel's talking about here. Read that again, Baba Kashar, from the top.
Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 17. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel.
Okay, it's pretty damning evidence here that these are Gentiles. Like we are Gentiles today in that Christian church, in the mosque, in all kinds of denominations, scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. We're everywhere but where we were supposed to be, in our land, the promised land, Israel. Scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. And this is what's happened to us. We've become Gentiles because we turned from God. We stopped loving the Most High God. We stopped loving the Most High God's law. Okay? We were and had become like the heathen Gentiles. That doesn't stop us being Gentiles. We are Israelite Gentiles. It's just nowadays we don't even know that we're Israelites. We are so gone and so destroyed and so finished utterly that we have got no idea of our language. We've got no idea what Lashon Kodash is. We've got no idea of our nationality. We believe we're African. We believe we're Afro-American. We believe we're Afro-Caribbean, Black British. Okay? We believe all these things because we have become Gentiles.
That's right.
That's what's happened to us. And we're stuck up in that Christian church. We're stuck up in that Christian church learning the ways of the Gentiles. Okay? We shouldn't have interracial marriages. We shouldn't embrace homosexuality, idolatry. Can anybody give me any other examples of why we have become Gentiles? There's 3 for you. Mozart. What else were we doing?
We're married into the other nations.
I just said that, interracial marriages.
We start doing sacrifice our kids to idol.
I mentioned that, idols. Yeah. And we've loved and picked up all these abominations until it has watered us down into Gentiles, hasn't it? Young man, get me Ezekiel 36 and 16, Bob Kishar. Yeah, any questions in the stream, type it in. We'll get straight to you. So the topic tonight is how we became Gentiles. And let's just add that you many times when you're reading the scriptures, you'll come across strangers. Strangers is similar to Gentiles. Okay, a portion, it's not always when you pick up the Bible and read about strangers, you're reading about heathen nations. Okay, do we all understand this? Is there any questions in class? A portion of these strangers in the Bible are Hebrew Israelites. So let's bear that in mind. Let's bear that in mind when we're studying. Okay, so Ezekiel 36, start at verse. Let's start at verse 16, Bob Kushar.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 16. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying.
Okay, so Ezekiel showing us the word of the Most High God came to him. This is through what, Mozart? This is through what? How did the word of the Most High God come to Ezekiel?
It came into a vision.
No, through the Spirit, through the Holy Spirit, through that vibration. Okay, through that Holy Spirit. Okay, read on verse 17.
Verse 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way.
Okay, so we defiled our land, which means we were breaking the law. Simple. You won't get this breakdown in the church, in the Christian church, but we were breaking the law and we was turning ourselves into Gentiles till eventually you see, it's a fall. You heard the terminology fall from grace. We're not using that term, but it's similar where we're falling, we're rolling down a hill and you can't stop. Okay, so we're not Gentiles yet, but we're breaking the law. And eventually when you reach the bottom of the hill, you're so far gone, you no longer know you're an Israelite. And that's what you can see around the world today. Our people are stuck up in that church, stuck up in Rastafarianism, stuck up in that Islamic mosque, believing that they're African, following an idol, an Arab god. They have got no idea that they're a Hebrew Israelite or they belong to one of the sacred 12 tribes of Israel. and have the Spirit of the Most High, or should be living through the Spirit of the Most High God. And this is how far we've gone. And this is when we become a Gentile, and this is how we've become a Gentile. So it's almost like a process. You don't just break a law. You don't just break a law and become a Gentile when you wake up in the morning. It's a slippery slope. It's a process, and it's a slippery slope. And this is what happened to us. Okay, read on, young man, Baba Kasha.
And by their doings, there was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
Okay, so here, Ezekiel's likening our abominations, our law breaking, to an unclean woman. When is a woman unclean?
At that time of the month.
At that time of the month. When she's, what's the word? Menstruating, or more commonly known as on her period. Okay, Salakia. Okay, we don't need to be too explicit. Okay, but we're teaching the truth. And Ezekiel here is likening us, okay, to an unclean woman. Okay, now that's damning. That's a damning report for the 12 tribes of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and native Indians. Okay, you keep hearing from the ISUPK, all the schools around the world, our camps, whether it's a street camp or in class, to get it together. And we've not done that yet, and that's why we're still in this wicked kingdom. But this is how we became Gentiles, because we couldn't get it together, because we are likened to an unclean woman, because we have adopted the ways of the heathen, because we keep breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, and we're on that slippery slope. We're on that slippery slope. And now is full time that we get it together, Israel. Now is full time we get it together. Read on, young man, Bob Kasha.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 18. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them.
He poured his what?
I poured my fury upon them.
He poured his fury upon who? His fury on you blacks, Hispanics, native Indians, the indigenous people around the world. This is who he poured his fury on. And Mozart, how did the Most High God pour his fury on us?
All the punishments that he brings to us.
What? Give me an example.
Death, sufferation, as he said.
What sufferation? Be more specific.
As he said, he take the stay of bread from us, change of clothes, he bring disease.
Let me be a little bit more specific for you, young man.
He removed us out of our land.
A little bit more specific. What is going on with us today? Child support. That's a judgment. That's a punishment. Abortion. That's a punishment. That's a judgment. That's pouring his fury on our people. Child support, bro. Think about it. Salakia. You can't even see your child when you come out of court, but you've got to pay for that child every week. Imagine. That's fury in the absolute. And the Most High God's pouring it out on you wicked ass brothers. So what is he doing to the sisters? How's he pouring his fury out on the sisters?
Some of them have fathers, a single parents.
Abortion.
Yes.
Abortion would be fury. Putting that demon spirit on the woman to make her kill the life that she's carrying inside her body. Imagine that. Imagine that. That is fury. That's pouring his fury out. Any more examples?
Preventing someone from able to conceive. So they sit down and
how about lenders and borrowers? How about that? Think about that. One time we ruled this kingdom. Imagine in the times of King David. Imagine who were the treasurers of this kingdom. If you wanted a loan, you had to go to a Hebrew Israelite. If you wanted to trade, you had to go to a Jew. Are we all following this? The lenders, the original lenders of this kingdom, which is us, have become the borrowers. And most of the time we get a knockback. We walk in the bank for a 10 grand loan and we don't come out with even £500.
That's right.
So the lenders have become borrowers in this world. Imagine that. That's the Most High God pouring out his fury. Do we all follow this? You got something, young man?
Can't, sir. It's like today the Hasidic Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, they own all the diamond districts, the media, they own everything.
True.
Really, we should be there.
True.
It's turned upside down. Is it like that, sir, as an example? They're the treasures of this world.
Well, Amalek has become the world. Amalek is what we were 3,000 years ago. Amalek has become that. Amalek are the world's biggest they own all the banks. Amalek owns governments now. Amalek owns the US government. Amalek owns the British government and down near most of Europe and NATO. Most of the Western world owe Amalek trillions and trillions of pounds. So a government is owned by Amalek. Do you understand? A government does as their listen. If I don't know if you noticed in this wicked modern world, but if someone owes you £500 and doesn't pay you on time, they begin to start answering to you at work, in the street, socially. Do you see where I'm coming from? They tend to start bowing to you. Not that you might not be asking for that treatment, but it happens naturally because they feel like they owe you, they've dishonored you or whatever. They're in debt to you, which they are. And that's how lending and borrowing occurs, but not in Israel. When we were the lenders, we were righteous people. We had no money on top. There was no interest, none of that nonsense. And that's recorded in our records. But Amalek that runs the world banks, these guys will lend you. How much will they lend you, Mozart? £5,000, and you have to pay them back £9,000. Imagine a finance car. A finance car. What is it? 7.5%. Sometimes 7%. Okay. 17, I think, isn't it? But anyway, you'll pay. You can pay 20 grand for a 12 grand car in the UK, and that's interest. And 9 times out of 10, that's Amalek's business. Okay, Amalek owns all the major franchises around the world. So let's think about this. The main lenders in this world have become the borrowers. That's fury poured out on the children of Israel. And this is because we became Gentiles. And we became Gentiles because we stopped loving the Most High God. And we stopped loving the Most High God because we stopped keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Father. Read on, Baba Kasha.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 18. Wherefore I have poured my fury upon them for the blood that they have shed upon the land, and for the idols wherewith they have polluted it.
Okay, they're idols. Zeus, Onan, Thor, all these idols. And this is how we became Gentiles. Verse 19.
And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed.
Okay, so we were scattered throughout all these nations. We've just touched on this. we're in America, we're in Africa, we're in China, we're in UK, we're scattered to the four corners of the earth. This is a form of fury being poured on us as well. Because when you go to China, you can see a complete nation. When you come to Europe, you can see a complete nation. The Hamites in Africa. Where are our people as a nation? Yes, there might be a bundle of us in Jamaica, a bundle of us in Cuba, a bundle of us in Brazil. But these are not our lands, neither are they our nations. Okay, read on.
And they were dispersed through the countries.
They were what?
Dispersed through the countries.
Like we just said, Brazil, Cuba, Jamaica, United Kingdom, USA, you'll find us dispersed in these countries. Read on.
According to their way and according to their doing, I judged them.
According to their way and according to their doing, the Most High God judged us. And we are filthy as hell, Israel. And this is how we became Gentiles. Read.
Verse 20. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name.
Okay, so we profaned his holy name. We profane. How do we profane? Read that again, Baba Kasha.
Verse 20. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name.
How'd you break this down, Moses? When we entered unto the heathen, we profaned his name. Let me break that down for you then. So when we were scattered, we've had a judgment. When we've entered into these heathen kingdoms, we've picked up Christianity. We've picked up Islam, Rastafarianism in Jamaica. We've picked up their gods, their idols. We've profaned the Most High God's name. This is how we became Gentiles. It was an endless pot of filth. There was no end to it. Remember that slippery slope we just spoke about? There was no end to that slippery slope. We just kept rolling and falling and digging a hole deeper and deeper. Do we all follow this?
Okay.
Any questions? We even profane his name today. We profane his name today through the same idols because we became strangers, because we became Gentiles eventually. Read on, Baba Kasha. Is there any more on that?
When they said to them, these are the people of the Lord and are gone forth out of the land. 21.
Hold on. Read that again, that end piece.
When they said to them, these are the people of
These are the who?
These are the people of the Lord.
Who are the people of the Lord?
Israel.
Us, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Read.
And are gone forth out of his land.
Out of his land. Where is his land? What is this talking about?
Jerusalem.
Israel. Right, is there any more on that?
Verse 21?
No, 21 is touching on mercy. So look, back then, so we profane his name today. We profaned his name back then. Okay, and let's just remember, that back then they knew when we was profaning and falling down that slippery slope back then aforetime, we knew we were Israelites. Okay, Moses brought us out of Israel. We knew we were Israelites, but why we was in the Egyptian captivity. When we was in the Egyptian captivity, Moses brought us out of Egypt. In that time, that era, we knew we was Israel. We knew we were the 12 tribes of Israel, and still we profaned the Most High God's name. Still we turned to Pharaoh's gods, and Pharaoh was a god. Still we had idols. We was quick to get in the wilderness and build a golden calf. Are we following this? Today, we profane his name and we don't even know we're Israel. That's how far That's how deep we become Gentiles now. That's how deep we become strangers to the Most High God and to Israel and to our inheritance. You got something, young man?
Just thought to myself, sir, why does some get it that we're Israel and some don't?
Because the Most High God's not dealing with everybody. Young man just said, why does some of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians get this truth, understand our records, how they're broken down, the truth, and how come the majority of us don't? Well, there's a simple question to that. The simple answer to that, the Most High God's not dealing with everybody. The Most High God are not dealing with all. The Most High God's not to get this and to understand this. You have to have the Spirit of the Most High God first. If you don't have the Spirit of the Most High God, you are not going to get this. You're going to be in that Christian church and understand the pastor more than you understand the priests and prophets of the Most High God in the ISUPK under the command of General Yohana. And that's the answer to your question. It's quite simple. It's quite simple. Okay. Back then we knew that we were Israelites in damn near all the captivities, the Babylonian captivity, the Persian captivity, the Macedonian captivity, the Roman captivity, all these captivities, the Egyptian captivity. We knew we were Israelites, but today we are so far gone. We profane his name and we don't even know who we are.
That's right.
Do we all follow this? Get me Mozart, get me Ephesians 2, chapter 2, verse 1. And just hold it. Is there any questions in class? Is there any?
Yes,
you got a question, young man?
Answer.
Ephesians 2.
Huh?
Ephesians.
Ephesians chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 1. Young man, what's your question?
I was reading, just before I came out today, I was reading Genesis chapter 30, I believe it was chapter 36. And it said that Judah saw a Domalite woman, and he went into this Canaanite woman, and she bare him a son, 3 sons, you know.
Who are we talking about?
I'm talking about Judah, sir, Israel.
Yeah, Judah had wives. Genesis what?
It's Genesis chapter 38.
Is this going off topic? Is it going off topic?
No, sir. It's only because you says we went to other nations' wives, you know, and we're not supposed to marry other people's wives.
Yeah, I said interracial marriage is one of the things, one of the abominations why we became Gentiles. Yeah, on that slippery hill, on that slippery slope. So what's your question?
So why did Judah go to a Canaanite woman? His name was Shua, something like that.
Well, here Judah wasn't perfect.
Okay.
Judah had to. Judah knows he's not supposed to marry outside of the nation of Israel, and he's took. Let's read it. Well, give me the precept.
Genesis chapter 38, verse 2.
Genesis 38.
Verse 2, sir.
Genesis 38, chapter verse 2. Okay, read that, Baba Kasha.
And Genesis chapter 38, verse 2. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her, and he went in unto her.
Perfect example of that slippery slope. This is what we was doing. This is how we became Gentiles. We started by sinning. We started with iniquity. And we finished in profanity. And to the point where we didn't know we was Israel anymore. Judah knows he's an Israelite. And Judah knows he's not supposed to sleep with the Canaanite woman, and he did. So Judah's starting at the top of that slippery slope. Okay? Okay, without going on and reading this passage, let's get back to Ephesians 2 and 1. Read that when you're ready, Mozart.
Okay. The book of Ephesians 2 verse 1. And you at ease quickened, who were dead in trespass and sin.
Read that again, Baba Kusha.
And you are he quickened.
Okay, so you have he quickened. What does quickened mean? Can anybody tell me what quickened means?
Like from a restraint, change, quicken, smitten, quicken, like a sudden change.
La.
Quicken.
You got something, young man.
Concept. To open up the understanding of.
Give that a hand. When you read quickened in the Bible, it means to be woken up. Like the men, the priests, and the prophets in the ISUPK. We were Gentiles. I was a Gentile 6 years ago, before I heard the teachings of General Yohana, before I heard the truth in the One West doctrine, the ISUPK. I was a Gentile. Mozart, how long you been in the ISUPK?
From 2017.
Okay, so in 2016, you was a Gentile before the Most High God quickened you. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, young man who's still learning his trade, learning who he is, learning his culture, his traditions, learning the Achian saltfish and how good he speaks patois is not what makes him a black man or a Hebrew Israelite. More to the point, what makes him a Hebrew Israelite is being a non-Gentile, is learning these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God and coming home to the Most High God and to Israel. Honoring his forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is what makes you a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, a real Hebrew Israelite, a non-Gentile. Do we all follow this? Do we all get this?
Yeah.
Okay. Ephesians, where are we? Verse 2?
Ephesians 2 verse 1.
No. Verse 2. Verse 2. Okay. So we know that quickened means to be woken up.
Right.
To be given this truth by the Most High God. A Gentile means we're dead in spirit. Okay? Being quickened means you're in the truth. You've been woken up. Read.
Okay. Who were dead in trespassing and sin.
No, verse 2. Read verse 2.
Verse 2. Wherein in
Verse
time
2.
past ye walked according to the curse of his word.
Okay, we became Gentiles by choosing the world over the Father. By choosing this wicked world over the word of the Most High God, over the law, statutes, and commandments. Read that again, Baba Kusha.
Ephesians 2 verse 2. Where in time past ye walked according to the curse of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit.
Okay. What is the prince of the power of the air?
Satan.
There you go. Read. Baba Kusha.
The spirit that now walketh in the children of disobedience.
Read that again.
The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
The spirit, and what spirit is that? You've just said it.
Disobedience.
Okay, so the spirit of the the prince of the air would be this worldly, the deceiver of this world, the oppressor. Everything that's bad and goes against God is the prince of the air. And the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience is who?
Devil. Satan.
The Gentiles. That's us.
The spirit.
Read it again.
Okay. The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
The spirit that works in us has made us Gentiles. What is that spirit, Moses? Is it the spirit of the Most High God?
No.
So who is it the spirit of?
The spirit of the hero referred to in the Bible as Satan. This is
There you go. There you have it. The spirit of Satan, the spirit of the deceiver. And he's deceived us. And we've embraced profanity and idolatry and all kinds of abominations. And this is why we became Gentiles. Read on, Baba Kishore.
Okay. Verse 3. Among whom also we all had our conversation in time past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desire of the flesh and of the mind.
Okay, so times past, we were dead. Okay, what's that mean?
We're like spiritually dead because we were in the last from
among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, meaning we were dead. In times past, we were dead. We were like walking zombies. We were like walking zombies. Does everybody follow this? We were like walking zombies. A Gentile, if you're in that Christian church and you're Hispanic or native or black, and you do not know that you're a Hebrew Israelite, and you're not prepared to leave that church and come and walk into one of the schools, Salaki, of the ISUPK under the command of General Yohana, you're a walking zombie. Sir, miss, you are a walking zombie. You're a follower of Satan. You're a Gentile and you're dead. Completely dead. Do we follow this? Read on.
Verse 3. In the flesh.
Verse 3.
Fulfilling the desire of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature.
Okay, so we know
children of wrath.
Children of wrath. So we know quickened means to be made alive or to be woken up. The conversation in times of past are with each other, fellow sinners.
Yeah.
Do we follow this? They're with fellow sinners. It's with each other. It's not with heathens. It's with each other. Fellow sinners. Fellow sinners that never kept the law. Do we all follow this? Okay, you got a question?
But the law wasn't given to them, it was given to us. So we got
Read that again so young man gets it.
Verse 3. And among whom also we had our conversation in time past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desire of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath.
Okay, you read all of it. I didn't want all of it. I just wanted the breakdown of what we was talking about.
Okay.
The desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Okay, so this is talking about fellow sinners. Do we all follow this? These are Israelites. These are fellow sinners. Do we understand this? Okay. Fellow sinners that were breaking the law. Verse 4.
Verse 4. But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love, wherewith he loved us.
So the Most High God still loved us, even in sin and when we was full of iniquity. He still loved us and reserved mercy for us. Read on.
Verse 5. Even when we were dead in sin, hath quickened us together with Christ. By grace ye are saved.
And this is how we became Gentiles. Even as a walking zombie in sin, he made us alive again. and allowed us to know him through who?
Christ.
Through Hamashiach Yahushai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Jump down to verse 11, Baba Kishar.
Ephesians 2 verse 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh.
Read that again.
Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcised by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hand.
Read it from who are called. You said circumcised, it's uncircumcision.
Wherefore remember that ye be in time past Gentiles in the flesh,
Who are called uncircumcision.
who are called uncircumcision, by which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hand.
Okay, so who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Does anybody want to have a go at breaking that down? Don't worry if you
the
can't.
Circumcision made by hand was when a baby, how much? 6 weeks old?
This is to do with how we became Gentiles.
Yes, but if we stop being circumcised by hand, we don't become Gentile. We no more longer have that hygienic standard of law. So we become Gentile.
You're thinking of carnal. You're thinking of the spirit.
Well, we follow it from keeping the law, and the word is spirit and it is life. So
okay, so let me break it down for you. We became Gentiles because of our works. Our works had become the works of Gentiles. Yeah, you got something more, sir.
Just like I was saying, when we stop the physical circumcision, we become Gentiles. Because we're not doing anything more like the physical Israelite.
I want you to be specific about what we're talking about here.
This circumcision, which is of the flesh, we are circumcised physically by the flesh, right? When we stop circumcised physically with the hands, circumcision, then we become Gentiles. We no longer have a hygiene standard. What we used to, 6 weeks or so we have to circumcise that male child. So all of that works come by the ways of Gentiles.
Okay, young man, did you have something to add? Okay, so we became Gentiles because of our works in this world before the Most High woke us up and brought us into the ISUPK under the command of General Yohanan. Do we all follow this? Do we all follow this breakdown? Okay, we're in verse 12, Baba Kashar. Yeah, go ahead.
The word is too excellent for me to understand, sir.
Don't worry, you'll get it. You will get it. You will get it. Just stay with us. If you've got any questions, just raise your hand straight away. Don't let us pass it by and you're not sure what's going on. Okay?
Verse 12.
Verse 12.
That at that time ye were without Christ, being alien from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenant of promise, having no hope and without God in the world.
There you go, verse 12 in a nutshell. And whilst we were Gentiles, we'd become aliens and strangers to where? From Israel. We'd become strangers to Israel. And if we're strangers to Israel, who do we know no longer? Abba, the Most High God, our Father. Okay, yeah. We became strangers to Israel. Our culture, traditions, and of course the laws of the Most High God who turned his back on us. Okay, do we all understand this breakdown? Verse 12. Any questions? Any questions in class? No? Right, verse.
Yes.
Go on, young man.
I'm understanding a commonwealth from today's commonwealth of the British Empire. So why does it say like an Israeli commonwealth? Is Israel of a commonwealth?
You talking about Israel, Amalek today, or you're talking about?
I was talking
this?
about both. He said here, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. So
Yeah.
Israel has a commonwealth.
Our commonwealth is who? Who is our commonwealth?
Christ.
No. Read it again.
Okay.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. That at that time ye were without Christ, being alien from the commonwealth of Israel. So Christ is our.
Okay, so let's break it down. That at that time ye were without Christ. Christ, what was Christ doing in his time? Teaching the laws, statutes, and commandments. He was teaching us to be righteous. He was teaching us to be perfect, like how he walked the earth. Okay? That at that time ye were without the law, without Christ. Okay? Being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. What is the commonwealth of Israel? The good being of Israel. Okay? It was common and it was our wealth. What is our real wealth? Don't tell me money and riches. What is Israel's real wealth? Our Father and the law, statutes, and commandments he gave us. That's where our real wealth lies. And the commonwealth is the bulk of us that was keeping that wealth, who had that wealth, and we didn't have it. So we'd become aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants. What's the covenants of promise? Young man.
Covenants are like agreements or promises.
The agreement, our oath. We had an oath. We took a vow to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. And we were slipping down that slope, that slippery hill. We were Gentiles. We were strangers. We were aliens. We were aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from that agreement we had with God. We'd broken our vow, okay? Having no hope. We'd become a hopeless nation. And without Yahweh in the world, no longer would he go into battle with us. No longer did he have our back. Do we all understand this? Okay, verse 19. Jump down to verse 19. Baba Kasha.
Ephesians 2 verse 19. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the house of God.
Okay, so guess what? If we come back to our Father and keep his laws, we will be strangers no more, but once again become brothers with the saints. And this is talking about these Gentiles in the Christian church, in the mosque, in Rastafarianism, in all these religions and denominations that we're lost to around the world. Because guess who's in the truth? Who's in the truth today? Who's been pushing this truth since 1969?
ISUPK.
ISUPK under the command of General Yohana, who came into it later than 1969, but is teaching the same One West doctrine that was spoken in 1969. It hasn't changed under the command of General Yohana. Only these fake Israelite groups that have copied the doctrine that we teach today and added and subtracted and teach all kinds of nonsense now. Do we all follow this? Do we all follow this? We've got to get, this is important. This is important that we understand this. Read that again, Bible Kashar.
Verse 19. No, therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the house of God.
Okay, so if we come out of that Gentile state, that Gentile, that stranger, that alien state of mind, frame of mind, you're going to come out of the Christian church, out of the mosque, out of Rastafarianism, out of these religions and denominations, and you're going to find your way to the ISUPK, because the priests and the prophets of the ISUPK are the saints under the command of General Yohana. That is what this precept is talking about. We are the saints right here in the school, in the ISUPK. We are the saints, okay? And if to become brothers with us again, to become brothers with us, with the saints, you have to get away from that church and that mosque and whatever religion you're in, and get yourself down to 394 Lodge Road. Do we all follow this? Do we all understand this breakdown? We all got this, yeah? Because we're not moving on until we've got verse 19. This is so important that we understand this collectively. So do we all get this, yeah?
But if you're sorry, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
If you go into verse 20, you have full summarization of verse 19.
Yeah, we're not going into verse 20. Don't harder for that. Oh, sorry, yeah. Con up. All right, verse 19. So the saints of the ISUPK, the brothers in the ISUPK, okay, under the command of General Yohana, and we will be welcome in the spirit of our Father. Do we all follow this? Okay, get me Isaiah 11 and 11, Baba Kashar. Any one of you guys, get me Isaiah 11 and 11, Baba Kashar.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Read that again, Baba Kashar.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Okay, so if he's gonna set his hand again a second time, when was the first time?
That's when we were in Egypt.
When we was in Egypt. So the first time he set his hand was on Pharaoh. How did he do that?
By using Moses.
10 plagues.
So
that the plagues.
Plagues is a good example. Give me another one.
Use Moses to terrorize him.
No, I'm not accepting that. You're an officer of 50. Come better.
All right, then. He uses frogs.
Disease,
yes.
Disease.
Locusts.
What else?
Locusts. Turn the river into blood.
Turn the river into blood. What else?
How
did we escape Pharaoh's clutches? What did the Most High God do?
He pressure fear. He take fear firstborn and cause him to have to give up.
What did the Most High God set his hand and do for us? This wasn't so much against Egypt. This was for us. How did we escape?
He parted the sea.
He opened up the waters and we just waltzed our way through like it was dry land. And you want to tell me about Zeus, Onin, and Thor? You want to tell me about Jehovah, Allah, and Jah? Come on, man. Do me a favor. Come on. What the hell? Where's the records? What did Jah ever do? What did Jehovah ever do? Where's the records of Allah? Where are his records? What did he ever do? Onin, a one-eyed cyclops who couldn't see around corners. Where's the records of what he ever did? Where's the records of what Zeus ever did for his people, for the Greeks? There are no records, but we have the real records. We have the real records of the Most High God, Yahweh, the one true God, the God of Israel. And he is our God. He is he's a Negro God. He stands for his people, us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the Jews, the 12 tribes of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites. That's us. And we've got the records to prove all of this. It's unquestionable. It's unquestionable. It cannot be, it will be doubted throughout time. But we can prove everything we say that's in the Bible. It lines up with archaeological evidence. It lines up with historical evidence. Did one of you guys have a question?
It's not much so much of a question, but
A statement.
A sarcastic statement. Allah record says, because I need for you to back me. When Moses was having Moses never disobeyed with the other brothers because he had whatever issue. So he put his clothes on a stone, and the stone ran away with his clothes. Is there any record of that? See, this is the confusion when you go into the Gentile church. The stone ran away with Moses' clothes, which
Good
that is
night.
never.
Good night, Islam. Close the book. And that's why that unholy Quran is toilet paper around here. You heard? Nonsense, absolute nonsense. A copied, watered down version of our records with a fake added profit at the end of it. Any questions in class? Any questions online?
No,
okay, where were we? Isaiah 11 and 11. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we were Gentiles in Egypt, and we're Gentiles now. Do we all agree and understand this? We were Gentiles in Egypt. We was following Pharaoh was a god when we was in captivity in Egypt. That's an idol. You can't turn a human being into a god. And even Christians, they've turned Caesar Borgia, this blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus that is not recorded in the Bible. That's an idol. Caesar Borgia is an idol. All our people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that are stuck up in that Christian church, they worship an idol called Caesar Borgia. Just like we was worshipping an idol called Pharaoh in these times. And the gods that Pharaoh was giving us, that he gave his Hamite nation, his Mizraimites, because the original Egyptians were called the Mizraimites. I think the second-born son of Ham, Noah's third-born son. So Noah had a son called Ham, who was black, jet black. He had 4 sons: Cush, Phut, Mizraim, and Canaan. I believe Mizraim was the third-born son, and that's the original Egyptians. Mizraim. They had their own gods. And we turned to these idols in our 430-year captivity under Pharaoh, in the Egyptian captivity. Okay, Isaiah 11 and 11. We learned how to love Egypt because we became comfortable in bondage. Do we all see this? We became comfortable in Egypt. You know, when Moses cracked open the Red Sea with his staff and we escaped Pharaoh's bondage and the Egyptian captivity. Do you know that as soon as we got into the wilderness, we were moaning and bitching and whining about, a lot of us wanted to go back into slavery because we'd become comfortable in bondage.
That's right.
Like today, your Kanye West, your Jay-Z's, your P. Diddy's, your Beyonce's, your basketball players, your football players, your boxing heroes. They become comfortable because they had riches, they had cars, they had houses. In Israel, some of us in Egypt, some of us had become comfortable in bondage because some of us had more than others. Do we all follow this? Okay, let's read on.
recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt.
Assyria.
Sorry, Salakia. From Assyria.
Assyria.
Assyria. Salakia. From Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Sinai and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea.
Okay, these are all islands round about in this area, okay? So we learned how to love Egypt because we could become comfortable in bondage, just like how we become comfortable today. Okay, and you know what we're talking about? We're talking about that celebrity status.
That's right.
So even in the Egyptian bondage, some of us had celebrity status amongst each other. Oh, he had more than him. He was a slave and he owned his own goat. Imagine that. Imagine being a slave and having your own goat. You know, having your own milk in every morning. And that's what we're talking about here. You understand? And today, nothing's changed. Today, nothing's changed. Shaquille O'Neal's got his own TV show. He thinks he's great. Guess what? You're a Gentile. You're a Gentile and you don't know who you are. Kanye West proclaims to know who he is. He comes on TV and says the real Jews are not white, the real Jews are black. But guess what? Kanye West is not in the ISUPK under the command of General Yohana. He's a Gentile. He's no different to these fake Israelite groups that we are not affiliated with, that we will have nothing to do with. Why they keep teaching lies.
So Kanye West is in a Gentile state of mind still, even though you know who he is.
Of course he's a Gentile. He talks nonsense. He's not UPK. How can he not be a Gentile? How can he not be a Gentile? Okay, but guess what? The Lord will bring us out again for a second time. It says right here in Isaiah 11:11. He will, what will he do? What will the Lord do? In verse 11, Salakia. Let's just go back. He shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt.
Okay, yeah, then he names all the places where we were then. These places now are synonymous to where?
Okay, and he shall set up an ensign.
No, listen carefully. Where are these places synonymous today? To today, young man.
The nations of the land today, like
Where?
India, Afghanistan, Turkey, places like that.
The UK, America, Jamaica. This is where we're scattered today. He's going to, the second time he's going to come back, he's going to bring us together. He's going to set his hand for the remnant.
Okay. But because he said India, because Elam is there. So we are scattered in.
This is back then. I'm talking about now. Where are we now?
Are we still scattered in our nation?
Yeah, of course we are. But where's the book covers? Is there more Israelites in India or in Europe? Or in the Western Hemisphere?
In the Western Hemisphere.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And our Father shall gather the Gentiles again and bring the son. Okay. Let's just read. Hold on. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together. Okay, read verse 12 for me, Baba Kushar.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations.
Okay, what's an ensign?
Banner.
Huh?
Banner.
What do you call it?
Banner.
A banner. What's an ensign?
I was going to say like a flag, some sort of flag.
A flag. I'll take banner, but flags are more closer. Yeah, an ensign is a flag, okay? A flag of nations, okay? It's a nationality, it's a flag of nations. That's what an ensign is, okay? So read on, Baba Kashar.
And shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah.
And who are the outcasts of Israel?
Judah?
No. No. Judah, yes, but let's be more specific with our answers. Who's the outcast of Israel, young man?
Fellow servants.
The what?
Fellow servants.
La. Who are the outcasts of Israel? Think about today.
Now you're talking about all
Look, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that are not in the ISUPK under the command of General Yohanna, they're the outcasts of Israel. We're in Israel. We're spiritually in Israel, are we not? We're in the truth, are we not? Okay, so the ones that are not in the truth, the ones that are in that Christian church, are the outcasts, are the Gentiles. Do we all follow this?
Okay, so you're basing this upon like a prophetic scripture. It's a future occur, which is occur.
No, but don't forget, Isaiah was a prophet. What did he do?
Prophesy.
He recorded prophecies. Okay, Salakia. Okay, so read the piece about Judah again.
And gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Okay, so an assign is a flag of nationality, and the Father shall gather the Gentiles again and bring the Judah. Who is Judah? That's the tribe of Judah. Who is Judah referring to here? And you're partially right. The southern kingdom. Okay, read on.
Verse 13.
You'll see why it's the southern kingdom when we read verse 13, Mozart. Read.
The envy also of Ephraim.
The what?
The envy also of Ephraim.
The what?
The envy also of Ephraim.
Can anybody tell me who Ephraim is?
Ephraim is the Mexicans.
Not just the Mexicans. Ephraim is Hispanic people. Ephraim was the land, the name of the northern kingdom. Did we not know this? Do we know this? That the northern kingdom in these days, in the days of Isaiah, was named Ephraim. The northern kingdom was named Ephraim, and the southern kingdom was named. So here we have Ephraim and Judah. Isaiah talking about the Most High God gathering us back together and using and setting his hand to gather us back together. Two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom consisted of Levi, Benjamin, and Judah. And that is Judah. They lived in the land of Judah. Ephraim is 9 tribes of Hispanics and indigenous people. Do we all follow this? Ephraim and Judah. Read that again, Baba Kashar. Read verse 13 again, Baba Kashar.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off.
Okay, so our envy of the northern kingdom will disappear, and the enemies of Judah shall be done. The ops of Judah. Look, what happens you see all the gangs in America. The Mexicans hate the Bloods. The Crips hate the Nietas. The Latin Kings hate somebody. Spanish and so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics and the so-called blacks have been at war and gang warfare for decades and decades. And it's spread to the UK, it's spread to Europe, it's spread all over the world. The Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom don't get along. But this envy amongst our people will be done. Do we all understand this? That's what this is talking about. That's what this is talking about. Our envy of the Northern Kingdom will disappear, and the ops of the enemies of Judah will be over, be finished. And this is by the hand set of Most High God. Remember, Ephraim is the leading light of the Northern Kingdom, and Judah is the leading light of the Southern Kingdom. That's what Ephraim and Judah are. So when we're talking about Ephraim, we're talking about Hispanic people. When we're talking about Judah, we're talking about black and Negroes, so-called. Do we all follow this? Hispanic, indigenous, or so-called black, we have the same blood. We're one family. We're the same people. We're no more Negro than Hispanics. Hispanics are just as Negro as we are. We're black and brown in color. They're brown and lighter and tanned in color. Same as listen, if you go back 500 years, the indigenous tribes of America, the Reubenites and the Gadites, the Seminole Indians and the Native Americans, they were dark-skinned Negroes with woolly hair. The Spanish made them look like how they do today. So and the British. So let's not forget this. The Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, there's no segregation. There's no them and us. There's no gang warfare in our records. There's one people, one family, the 12 tribes of Israel, the children, the sons of Jacob, the grandchildren of Isaac, and the great-grandchildren of Abraham. That's who we are, and that will never change. No matter what you learn in that mosque or from your Rastafarian elders or in that Christian church, that's a born God-given fact, and it will not change. These are our records. Okay, so Puerto Rican, listen, okay, so you Puerto Ricans need to get it together. You Afro-Americans need to get it together. And let's remember that Judah's the leading light of the Southern Kingdom, and Ephraim is the leading light of the Northern Kingdom. We need to get ourselves together. This is who we are, and nothing's going to change in this kingdom or the next. Nothing's going to change. We ain't going nowhere, and we're stuck in this hellhole until Ephraim and Judah get their acts together. We've got to get it together. We keep telling you, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, it's full time now we get it together. Because until Ephraim gets his act together, until Judah gets his act together, we're going nowhere. We're stuck in this hellhole. Do we all follow this? This is so spiritual. You can only get this if you're in the ISUPK under the command of General Yohanna. This is what's been taught since 1969. This is the One West doctrine as we have it today. It was taught back then in 1969, and nothing's changed. We teach the same doctrine right here now today in January 2025, and we're in the UK. And this comes from 125th Street, Harlem, New York, 1969. And here we are today in the United Kingdom, Birmingham, teaching the exact same doctrine. The Northern Kingdom, Ephraim, the Southern Kingdom, Judah. And it's full time now we get it together, because we're going nowhere till these numbers are in. This is how we became Gentiles, because we started hating the northern kingdom and disagreeing with the southern kingdom. And that split between indigenous people, Hispanics, and so-called black people, the Negroes. Do we all follow this? Okay, drop that. Get me Deuteronomy 32 and 26. How long we got left? We've got 15 minutes. We've got time for a few more precepts.
Deuteronomy 32, verse 26.
Deuteronomy 32 and 20. Yeah, 32 and 26, Bob.
Sure. Book of Deuteronomy 32, verse 26. I said, I would scatter them.
Read that again, Baba Kushan.
Deuteronomy 32, verse 26. I said, I would scatter them into corners.
Okay, so our father said this. Our father said this, and what happened?
It did happen.
He did it. He did it. Read on.
I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
And this is how we became Gentiles. He made us forget who we were. He made a statement and he delivered. He always delivers. When in history, when in our records, have you ever known a time that the Most High God didn't stick to his word? Is the only entity our people have ever known that has always stuck to his word. If he says something, he does it. Whether it's for us or against us. Whether it's a blessing or a curse.
That's right.
Whether it's a judgment or a gift. If the Most High God states something, he sticks to his words. It's a damn shame that we can't do the same and follow his lead. Read on.
Verse 27. Were it not that I fear the wrath of the enemies, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strongly.
And this is how we became Gentiles and strangers, through judgment and punishment, which coincides with our disobedience. We were so disobedient, we needed this punishment. Look, there's no way he was going to let us keep getting away with this nonsense. Is there any more on that, Mozart? Read on.
Unless they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord hath not done all.
There you go. Punishment and the judgment comes first, then the punishment. You're judged, then you're punished. Do we all follow this? Okay. And why are we judged and punished? Because we're disobedient. Simple. This is how we became Gentiles. Young man, give me Exodus 23 and 9, Baba Kushar. Mozart, if you want to get me Exodus 20 and 10, Baba Kushar.
Exodus 23, verse 9. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger.
Read that again.
Exodus 23, verse 9. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger.
Okay, so what kind of stranger are we talking about here? We're going to go on and read it. Can anyone give me a clue?
Stranger among our people.
A stranger where?
Among our people.
100. 100. Read on. We get to find out.
For ye know the hearts of a stranger.
Read Slakia. Read it from the top, young man. Baba Kushal.
Exodus chapter 23, verse 9. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
In the land of Egypt. Okay, so this refers to a stranger. Now we know that strangers are the heathen nations in the Bible, but whenever we are referred to as strangers in the scriptures, it's because we are being likened to one of these heathen nations, because what we become or how we are behaving. Okay, so not always, like we touched on earlier, when you're talking about Gentiles or strangers or aliens in the Bible, will you be talking about the heathen? And that is evident right here. That's evident here that these strangers that we're talking about here are Hebrew Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and native Indians, so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called indigenous people. Do we follow this?
No,
Read on.
Verse 10. And
Hold on,
see-
do we want verse 10?
Might go on to something else that I might say.
Salakia, give me a sec. No. Read verse 9 again, Baba Kasha.
Exodus chapter 23, verse 9. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger.
We know the heart of a stranger. He lives the life of a heathen. Okay? The heart of a stranger is a man that is a Christian that follows Jehovah, is a Muslim that follows Allah, is a Rastafarian that follows Jah. That's the heart of a stranger. So when you follow that stranger, what do you become?
stranger.
Like the stranger, you become a Gentile. Read.
Seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Okay. We were what?
Strangers in the land of Egypt.
There you go. This is synonymous. This is synonymous to Egypt because we were severely oppressed by who? Who were we severely oppressed by in Egypt?
The Egyptians.
The Hamites, the Mizraimites. Okay, so if we was severely oppressed by them, why then would we want to start picking up their traditions and cultures? Do you see how backward and perverse we became on that slippery slope to becoming Gentiles? Mozart, did you get 20 and 10?
Okay. The book of
read
Exodus
that,
20,
Baba
verse
Kasha.
10.
Hold on. Read that, Baba Kasha.
Ready?
Come.
The book of Exodus 20, verse 10. But the seventh day
But
is
what?
But the seventh day.
But when?
But the seventh day
Read.
is the Sabbath.
Is the what?
Is the Sabbath.
Is the what?
Is the Sabbath.
The seventh day is the Sabbath. What happens on the Sabbath?
Should do no work.
No servile work. Read.
Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor
thy what?
Nor thy cattle.
Nor thy what?
Nor thy cattle.
Oh, okay. So not even the sheep and the cows and the chickens and the horse and the donkeys and the mules, even they need a rest. Read.
Nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger what that is within thy gates.
Here you go. And this is that slippery slope we're talking about. This is how we became Gentiles. We did not want to keep the Sabbath. Okay, no work to be performed on the Sabbath, but back in the day, we had greedy individuals that wanted to trade on the holy rest day of the Lord and wanted to put their servants to work. What else did we do on the Sabbath? We wanted to put our servants to work. This was unlawful. Even your cattle, Mozart, deserve a break according to the Most High God. This is that slippery slope. This is how we became Gentiles. Does everybody get this? Leviticus 24 and 22. Let's slide through these precepts now. We haven't got long left. Any questions in class? Any questions online?
No.
The book of Leviticus chapter 24 verse 2. This is another law. This is how we became Gentiles. Read that, young man, Baba Kasha.
Leviticus chapter 24 verse 2. Command the children of Israel.
Do what?
Command the children of Israel.
Do what?
Command the children of Israel.
Command the children of Israel. Read.
That they bring unto thee pure olive oil, beaten for a light, to cause the lamps to burn continually.
Okay, so you Christians, if you're telling me this law was for everyone, You're wrong. Read that again, Baba Kashar.
Leviticus chapter 24, verse 2.
No,
Command.
Salakia, drop that. We've got the wrong precept. Go to verse 22. You're reading verse 2. I'm looking at verse 22. Salakia, my bad.
Leviticus chapter 24, verse 22. Ye shall have no manner of law as well as the stranger, as for one of your own country, for I am the Lord your God.
Read that again, Baba Kashar.
Leviticus chapter 24, verse 22. Ye shall have no manner of law.
One manner.
Salakia. Ye shall have one manner of law as well as the stranger, as for one of your own country.
What does this mean? Imagine you're in the Christian church having a breakdown of this. You know what your Christian pastor's telling you. This law was given by Moses for who, Mozart?
Children of Israel.
Not what the Christian pastor teaches. What does the Christian pastor teach?
That everybody can be saved. The law is done away with.
No, we're talking specific. Concentrate on this. What's this say?
That the law is, this says we shall have no other law.
Okay, and what does your Christian pastor say?
The law is done away with.
No, he says this is for everyone. He says this law is for everyone. Read it again, Baba Kashar.
Leviticus chapter 24, verse 22. Ye shall have one manner of law.
Here is one manner of law. The Christian pastor says there's many manners of law. Many manners of law. This is how they established their acts, their legislation, and their laws. Read on.
As well for the stranger.
As well for the stranger. Which stranger are we talking about here?
Stranger among yourselves.
The Gentile. Read.
As for one of your own country.
As for one of your own country. What was our country?
Israel.
The promised land. Read that last bit.
As for one of your own country. As for one of your own country. Salakia.
Okay, so this stranger was an Israelite. And you're telling us these scriptures, you're telling us that if there was more than one law, or more than one manner of law, or this law was for everybody, all 18 nations, all the heathen nations, yeah, it doesn't match up with this precept. Do we follow this? It doesn't match up. It just doesn't match up. Read that again, Baba Kashar.
Leviticus chapter 24, verse 22. Ye shall have one manner of law.
One manner of law. Read.
As well for the stranger.
As well for the Gentile, the Hebrew Israelite that is in Greece, that is in Corinthians, that is in Ephesians, Philippians. Read.
As for one of your own country.
And this is Old Testament. We're not talking about the records of the Apostle Paul. I'm just giving you an example. Another example would be the fake Hebrew Israelite groups that are not in the ISUPK but have come from the ISUPK and watered themselves down into Gentiles, the Christian church, the mosque, Black, Hispanic and Native Indians so-called that are not in the ISUPK today. Read.
As for one of your own country, for I am the Lord your God. Verse 23.
Okay, so for an example, no, 22, just we'll hold it there. You want us to believe, let's take it back to the Egyptian captivity. You want us to believe that Pharaoh followed our law? If this law was for everybody, you want us to believe that Pharaoh believed in Yahweh, believed in Israel, believed in the spirit of the Most High God and wouldn't free us? You want us to believe that this law is for everybody? You want us to believe that Gentiles cannot be Israelites? Do you see where I'm coming from? Does everybody follow this? You got a question, Mozart?
Statement. Pharaoh know that he wasn't a part of the children of Israel, so that's why he says,
He knew he was African.
let us deal with them wisely, lest they
That's
gather
right.
together and fight against us when war break out among our enemies.
But how the Christian pastor would break this down, and that's a good point, Mozart, but excellent point. But how the Christian pastor would break this down, you'd think that this is for everybody and anybody, and that Pharaoh, 4,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, Pharaoh was following our law, statutes, and commandments. I mean, come on, man. How ridiculous must we be to be in that Christian church listening to this nonsense? It doesn't match up with scripture. It doesn't match up with our records. None of it. But we know how we became Gentiles. Why? Because we have our records that tell us how we became Gentiles, exactly how we became Gentiles. And we pushed this since 1969. And in the ISUPK, under the command of General Yana, we're still pushing this today. In 2025, January 2025, we're still pushing this truth. Last precept. Just for, get me 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. So how the hell were we these Egyptians captives? It doesn't match up, does it? We were these Egyptians captives, and the Egyptians believed in what we believed in. Doesn't match up with scripture. Doesn't match up with scripture, and we know this. We know
That's
this. Right. Okay. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. We'll make this the last precept.
Book of 1 Corinthians 12, verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
Okay, did you get that?
Okay.
Okay, let's read that again, Baba Kashar.
The book of 1 Corinthians 12, verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto those dumb idols. These dumb idols, even as ye were led.
We're going to get a breakdown of this, but do we really need it in class? I'm breaking this down for the audience online that are not familiar with these precepts, not familiar with these scriptures. Read that one more time, Baba Kashar.
The book of 1 Corinthians 12, verse 2.
And this is another attack. The breakdown of this precept is another. These are the records of the Apostle Paul. Okay, this is another attack on Christianity. Watch this. Read. Baba Kashar.
1 Corinthians 12, verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto those dumb idols, even as ye were led away.
Okay, if we were led away, you know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto dumb idols. Carried away unto dumb idols. What were the dumb idols? There you go. The gods that we've named in class: Jehovah, Zeus, Onin, Thor, a mallet wheeling maniac who looked like Arnie in the 70s. Just bizarre, just dumb idols. The idols that made no sense and there was no records of. Okay? Good night, Christianity. Because if this was talking about the heathens, why would they be carried away to dumb idols? We don't worship a dumb idol. We worship the one true God, the God of Israel, Yahweh. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh. Do we all follow this?
Okay.
This is who we worship. We don't worship dumb idols in the ISUPK. These Gentiles were Hebrew Israelites. They weren't Egyptians, they weren't Hamites, they weren't Caucasians, they weren't the oppressor, they weren't Elam, they weren't Ishmael. They were Hebrew Israelites, these Gentiles. This is how we became Gentiles, through our nonsense, through our profanity, through our idolatry, through all our abominations. They already followed dumb idols. Do we understand that? That the heathen already followed dumb idols.
That's right.
Read this again one more time and we'll conclude.
The book of 1 Corinthians 12 verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto those dumb idols.
Okay, so if Gentiles were carried away, their heads were turned. We was in the truth and we became Gentiles. We were carried away to dumb idols. This cannot be talking about heathen nations because they weren't carried away. They was already worshipping dumb idols from day dot. Good night. Draw the curtains. It's a done deal. It's over. Christianity, Islam, Rastafarianism, you're finished. This is how we became Gentiles, through being carried away to dumb idols. Do we all understand this? Do we all follow this? Is there any questions in class?
No.
Any questions online? Okay, with that, we're going to call the class. Clap it up. Going to hand the class over to Priest and Officer of 50, Officer Mozart, for the security announcements.
This is the ISUPK security announcement. We are the ISUPK, started out of 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister come into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves off the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 verse 21, Malachi 3 verse 8 to 10, means tithes in the Hebrew, Mahashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord give to you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priest, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming Holy Convocation.
13th of February, the Feast of Purim.
Announcement, Holy Convocation. All right. Announcement, Holy Convocation from the sheet. Announce Holy Convocation from the sheet. Remind Akiawat to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headscarf, and scarf, headband and scarf. And with that, we give Officer Ariella one courtesy salute. Man of Israel, Imadiam Shabbat, Imadiam Barak, Yahweh Shim Yashai Brakatam. Barakatam.
Yahweh Shim Yashai Brakatam.
Yajamata, class dismissed.
Hit the end stream button. Baba Kasha.
Ariana, I'm drunk off that teaching, you know.